Hi everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. This is the horror movie show. We talk about horror movies. I'm Peter. That's Tim.
Hello. Oof. I tell you, Pete, it's a hot one.
Is it hot today in Los Angeles, Tim?
It is, yeah. In case you haven't been paying attention to what I've been complaining about the last 24 hours. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Tim's all hot and sweaty. He's miserable but ready to go all the same because he's a trooper.
I need a good horror movie to give me the chills.
Well, I didn't mean that to sound like I was getting negative there. It just kind of came out that way. We're going to talk about Clown, which is directed by Jon Watts, who just also directed a movie called Cop Car, and more notably, he's working on Spider-Man right now for Marvel, so he's going up in the world. But
He's going like the Sam Raimi path of filmmaking. You
kinda,
do
yeah,
small
kinda.
budget horror movie, a thriller, and then Spider-Man.
Yeah, so it's the exact path. It's a lot more condensed. He's done it in
Yeah.
over the space of 4 years. He's done the entire Sam Raimi career. It's quite impressive. But no, Clown was it just came out in the US because you went to see a limited screening
Yeah.
of it. It came out in the UK early last year.
Okay.
It actually premiered at a festival in I think Italy in 2014. So it's actually been sitting around for a while. It's just not been out, everywhere.
I almost wonder if if they were just waiting on it, or if they were, just going to release it on DVD. But then they're like, "Oh wait, this guy's getting a little bit of a name recognition. Might as well just
Maybe.
toss it in theaters."
I feel that may be how you get a theatrical release. I don't know if the wait was necessarily related to anything, just because that seems to happen a lot with low budget horror movies. They tend to sit a while, maybe go to some festivals. The original Paranormal Activity was finished 2 years before it went to public theaters. Uh,
You know what? I don't get actually, and this just kind of popped into my head, but I feel like, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but every year, I feel like in October there's like less and less horror movies being released around Halloween, which is
uh-huh.
like, I don't know, if they got like all these like movies just sitting around collecting dust, why
Yeah,
not release some then?
put them out in
Like,
October when they'll actually do make some money. Yeah, I
yeah.
know it's silly, but I'm not going to get into the bureaucracy of how to pick release dates for movies. That's beyond my pay grade.
It sounds like an interesting topic though. That'd be a good 1.21 one week when you guys slow movie week.
Yeah, slow movie weeks indeed. But yeah, so we're going to talk about Clown from Jon Watts. I don't know if this was his debut, but it's certainly obviously an earlier film from him. And this movie, as we always do now, we'll stay spoiler free until we warn you otherwise. We'll put up the spoiler wall, as we like to call it, the spoiler crypt. We'll change it, make it horror themed. The spoiler crypt.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. So this movie is about a dad who, for his son's birthday, puts on a clown outfit that he finds randomly in a trunk in a house, uh, which felt very random to me watching the movie. But that's how the setup is. He finds an old clown
Yeah.
costume, and it turns out the clown costume's got mystical properties, and he can't take it off, and he then starts to go. I'll just say
Cuckoo
crazy.
bananas.
Yeah, for the spoiler free section, we'll just say crazy. There's more specific things that happen, but obviously we'll get to that in Spoiler Town.
Once
What?
we open the spoiler crit.
Yeah, Spoiler Crypt, which is in
Yeah.
Spoiler Town
Okay.
on Highway Spoiler 66. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, so that's the premise of the movie.
Basically, a demonic clown is all you need to know.
Pretty much. Well, Tim's computer just died of heat. Well, actually, no. I will. To make this very clear, it died of heat about an hour ago, and we
Yeah.
just came back. So if there was an awkward cut there might have been. I'm not sure. I'll see when I'm editing it. But bit of a jump. That's why. Hell knows what I said in those first 5-10 minutes. I can't remember. It was ages ago now.
Sure, they were, pure gold as always.
Yeah, we're talking about Clown though. Time for Clown. I have no idea what thought I was in the middle of when we stopped recording before. Not a clue. So let's just get into the movie, and because I explained the plot and all that.
Mhm.
So this movie, we watched the trailer this together, and I thought this could go one
Yeah.
of two ways.
hmm
Well, actually, not one of two ways. There was two ways it could have went where I would have really enjoyed it. Right, there was two clear paths that would have led to really enjoyable times for me. One of them was it was genuinely really creepy, and the clown was scary as shit, and it was like a proper serious horror movie. And the other one was it was just batshit insane. Like just crazy stuff happening, like balls to the walls. Because
So, yeah, insane, crazy, bonkers.
yeah, not necessarily good, but a fun time because of how absurd it is. Right, I could
Right.
have seen it going either of those directions, and I probably would have quite enjoyed it either way.
And I think too the big worry I had going into it was the name Eli Roth
Yes, of
being
course.
attached to it.
Yes. It
Uh,
says on the poster, Tim, notice this, from the horror mastermind, Eli
Jesus,
Roth.
I cannot believe that.
The only time I've laughed at that sentence more is there was a trailer this week for Rob Zombie's next movie, 31.
Oh,
And in the
I saw
trailer
that.
it said, from horror mastermind, Rob Zombie. I'm like, no.
Like, what does it take to be a mastermind? Just the fact that you have made some movies in the horror genre. I don't know
Tim,
if that's
you
all
are
it takes.
legit more of a professor than they are masterminds of the horror genre.
I feel like I should be insulted, but I will take the compliment.
Alright, so I could have seen it going either of those two ways, and I would have enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it kinda
Tiptoes in the middle.
yeah, it sort of slithers up the middle, not really being sure what tone it should have the entire time, and that was kind of disappointing. And for me, and this is going to sound like a really harsh criticism, it made it kind of boring.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, right off the bat, I will say that I didn't overly hate the movie.
No, now
I
did
didn't,
I? Now did I?
yeah, but didn't really love it either. I think there was some enjoyable stuff. I think the big thing about it is that it has such like a inherent like silly premise that like you really have to get on board. I feel like with it to be sold for the movie, and I mean I was totally fine with the premise, but sometimes I felt like kind of like you were saying, like the movie wasn't quite sure
Yeah,
about it.
its tone was kind of weirdly all over the place. There was like, because it does get kind of absurd in some ways. Like what he wants to do when he goes crazy essentially is really like dark, and you could almost make like a dark comedy out of like what he needs to do. But at the same
Yeah.
time, the tone just feels kind of shifted, and there's this weird lack of, I don't know. Like I said, it's not sure what it wants to be in terms of tone. And I think because of that, the knock-on effect of the atmosphere is that the atmosphere is just kind of not there. It feels very
Yeah.
sterile for what it is, which is strange.
Yeah. Also seemed like it kind of wasn't really sure like which character is gonna follow. It seems kind of like halfway through you switch from the main character's point of view to that of his wife, which is fine, but it was kind of like, oh, I thought we were going to be more invested in him, and then at this kind of halfway, 2/3 of the way through, it almost seems like it stops being about him and is more about like the wife and the family trying to keep it together and find him and stuff.
Yeah, that's actually another problem I kind of had. Is I thought it was a bit too long for what it was. Like I felt like,
Oh, definitely, yeah.
because
There's
this
only
was
like 100 minutes. I
yeah,
think.
but it felt like this could have been cut down to about 80. Take out 20 minutes, tighten it up. I don't know.
That's yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like tight like 80 to 90 minute movie somewhere around there. But just that little bit of extra. I don't know. Towards the end, it just felt like it was going on for a little while.
It wasn't absurd and batshit insane for me to enjoy in that sense, and it didn't make me care about the characters enough to take it too seriously. 'Cause the movie opens, and we're not in spoilers yet, but like the movie opens, and within maybe 3 minutes of runtime, he's already found a costume and has put it on.
Yeah.
Like, we don't get any time of like seeing him as like a dad and like taking care of his kid and his wife, and like.
Well, one thing that I thought was kind of confusing is I never got understood if he was supposed to be a good dad or a bad dad, because it seemed like, his wife and kids like liked him, and like that he was trying to do all this stuff, but then it also seemed like the grandfather had a weird problem with him for some reason,
Yeah.
and like other people kind of seemed like, I don't know, they had weird opinions of him. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, you never really got a sense for his character, like if he was this workaholic guy that was never there, that was trying to be better, or if he was like a loving super dad. It was kind of weird.
That's actually a very good point, is that he doesn't really have much of a character. In fact,
Yeah.
does anyone have much of a character in this, really?
Not much. They're all very, very, like, if they are characters, they're very like stereotypical. Like the kind of like doting grandfather who likes his wife and grandkid, but is like upset with the dad, and then the best friend couple, and yeah, no one really has like a standout unique characteristic, I feel like.
And even Peter Stormare, who's the who's popped up in a lot of stuff. He was in Until Dawn last year, the video game, and
Oh, I love that guy.
he was in Prison Break, and he's popped up in a lot of stuff over the years. He pops up as the character who like kind of knows about what's going on. Like, he's got the history with this stuff, and even he just kind of feels like this stereotypical,
Yeah.
like right out of any horror movie like script.
And I feel like he would have fit perfectly if it was in that, like, balls to the wall, crazy bonkers movie. He could have, fit that role
And the
very
weird
well.
thing is when in his like first couple of scenes, when the main character goes to meet him, it felt like it was going to start going down that path.
Yeah.
But it kept doing like U-turns and making it dark and like not that fun again. Like,
Yeah.
It kept trying to make us care about the fact that he can't get back to his family, and can this be cured? And I'm like, well, if I cared about the characters, maybe that would work. But I didn't really care about the characters.
Until the big like problem I had with it is I felt like frustrated a lot of the times. I feel like there was just like a character and other people that would like interact with him, that they would be like, oh, why don't you just take the costume off and stuff, and he'd be like, I can't, and then they kind of be like, oh, well, whatever. But then it's like no one ever tried to like really like do it with him. Like, he's at the doctor's office and the doctor's like, oh, like, why don't you just take it off, blah blah, and he's like, can't. But like, then if you had this problem, wouldn't you like show the doctor like, no, look, I'm pulling at it, it won't come off, I'm pulling at my hair, it won't come off. Like, I feel like there's always this kind of frustrating barrier between him and like other people when he was talking or interacting with them.
Yeah, it's like, because he comes off as sounding crazy to them, but and as much as we know that there's something causing this, even I'm going, like, you're actually sounding crazy right now. Stop, slow down, be calm. Tell them in a calm voice. This is the thing that characters in movies never understand when you're trying to tell someone something that sounds crazy. See, if you say it in a calm way, they're more likely to go along with you for a bit longer than just immediately write you off as insane.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, just be calm and actually show them. Actually say like, no, look, try for yourself, and you won't be able to do it either. Or just keep me in a locked room for a day and just watch as like makeup appears and stuff. Like, I feel like there's a very easy solution to that. But
yeah, and as I said, the movie starts, and within minutes, I think the opening titles might still be playing when he finds the costume.
yeah.
And he's already in the costume right after that, so there's no. It's weird. It's weird how quickly it gets going, and then it's weird how overlong it feels in the end. Like it's just ultimately all this stuff that we've said, though, it all comes together. I just feel like it doesn't click. Like, nothing. It doesn't feel like it clicks together. There's some good scenes. There's individual scenes that I like, but as a whole, I didn't really get into it.
No, yeah, I think I'm pretty much on the same page. I would like to give some positives. Like overall, the idea, I do think was good. Like, I kind of like the, I guess, bare bones plot of it, like once you don't get into specifics. And again, it is kind of like a crazy, silly idea, but I definitely did dig it. And again, if it was that more balls to the wall crazy ness to it, I probably would have liked it more. And then yeah, like yeah, I forget that actor's name, but that Carlson guy or whatever. I did like his character, even though he
Peter
was like,
Stormore or Stormore.
yeah, even though yeah, again he was crazy. I liked him. And then yeah, there were some good scenes.
Which we can't really talk about without spoiling things.
Yeah, it's hard
because there's specific things that happen that are just kind of fun. But
I will say it. I winced a lot in this movie. It was like the gory stuff in it was the kind of stuff that makes me go like, ugh.
Yeah, I will say that. Yeah, the gore was nice for the most part. I'll give it that. That is my one clear positive.
So I think it's definitely. I feel like we can probably like wrap up the spoiler free section.
Oh yeah, I think we're done
just
now. Yeah.
kind of like a parting thought. I would say I do think it is worth watching. Maybe don't run out and go see it or buy it or whatever. But if it's one of those things where it's ever streaming and you need something to watch, I think it's perfectly watchable, and it is interesting. It does have some good ideas. Real quick, did you see Cop Car or
Yes.
was that good?
Yeah, so much better than this.
Okay, so yeah, I think yeah, this is an interesting watch, especially too if it's interesting to kind of see this. I'm gonna assume youngish director coming up.
I imagine. I mean, I imagine he is, since he's just like I didn't really know about him before the last few years. So,
Yeah.
nah, Cop Car's a much better movie. Cop Car's not a horror movie, of course. So, but I'd recommend checking that out if you want a sort of more of a thriller.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've been wanting to.
That has kids at the centre of it, which is nice because he's making Spider-Man, and you want him to be able to handle younger actors a bit better. But no, that'll wrap up the spoiler-free section. I think we've said as much as we can without getting into spoilers. So full spoiler warning from this point on. We're getting to the spoiler crypt.
First thing I want to ask you is, do you get the feeling that the kids were kind of asking to be killed in this movie?
Some of them were.
Like, there was so many times where I was like, "Oh my god, kid, get the fuck out!" Like you're just like you're knocking at this stranger's door, like
that kid was definitely asking for it. The bully kid was like just getting it. Well, the funny thing is, my biggest positive of this movie is I love just how blatantly it kills kids.
Oh yeah,
like it doesn't hold back. It's like, no, this guy wants to eat kids, and we're going to see. Cause you see that first kid who knocks on the door, and then we see the camera, like we see the blade fly off the saw.
Yeah.
And we get there's blood on it, so we get the sense that it's maybe went through the kid, but then the camera actually pans over it, and you just see the hole.
Yeah.
In the kid, and he falls dead, and I'm like, holy shit, he's like 7. He just died.
Yeah. I couldn't believe like the kid would even be like going over there in the first place. Like the dude, like everyone like calls him a clown, but he really doesn't look like a clown. Like he looks like kind of like a freak with like a little bit of white on his face and like a bandaged nose.
Yeah.
And just the fact this kid's knocking on this stranger's door, or the girl that like gets in the wife's car that's just like, can you like drive me home, and just like,
God, I know.
You're so nice. You're so nice.
Don't get into strangers' cars. I mean, I know she said she kind of knew her, like she was like, she knew her son at school or whatever, but still, it was like, come on. Of course, the mum like has to decide if like she can let the husband, because I think it's at that point, if he kills one more kid, eats one more kid, he'll come back to normal.
Yeah,
and she's almost going to let him do it,
which I thought was kind of an interesting take and scene. It dragged on a little long.
Yeah, it dragged on too long. I thought that was possibly a cool idea. Again, this is a scene that would have worked better had I cared about the characters and I was taking it completely seriously, whereas I wasn't the whole time. We spoke about gore stuff. I want to talk about a couple of the gore moments that I quite enjoyed. I love when he tries to shoot himself and the splatters, like the multicolour.
That was really cool.
It's like all the different colours of the wig on the wall. Yeah. That was pretty cool. What else does he do? There's
the one of the like first early scenes that made me kind of go like, ugh, is when he's trying to get the suit off with the box cutter.
Oh, and he cuts his wrist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was good. That was funny.
I was like, But
That
I think
actually reminded me a lot of a moment in The Nice Guys, which is currently in
yeah,
theaters.
I
Uh,
haven't seen it yet, but
I recommend it. Go see The Nice Guys. Really good.
I do want to. I've been meaning to, but um, yeah, and not like a scary, you know, part of the horror moment or whatever. But yeah, that was a scene that uh made me wince. I think someone else in the theater even went like oh damn or like something like that. Like
There's also like when he's trying to decapitate himself, he gets the two buzzsaws like
oh yeah,
next to each other, and he's trying to like fall back in the chair.
yeah,
Uh, nah, like I said, that stuff was really good. I almost wish that this was just more of like a slasher movie or something,
yeah.
and he just like focused on like all the crazy kills he could have been doing. Because I feel like that's in this movie, that's where the strength is, whereas the rest of it's kind of mundane.
Yeah, yeah, I wish like I feel like when the second half or so of the movie starts, I feel like you're following him for so much of the start of it, but then once he just kind of disappears, I feel like it really shifts focus and you're just following the wife and stuff a lot more, which I feel like yeah, that was a shame because his stuff was the more interesting stuff and I would have been a little more compelled to kind of see him dealing with this more. Um I was kind of getting a little frustrated too because I feel like they were doing too much of like him kind of battling his cravings. Like after like the third or fourth time of him kind of like being somewhere and there be a kid and his stomach starts growling and he kind of looks like he's about to do something and then he kind of turns away. He's like, no, I can't. It's like after a couple of times of those, I was like, all right, like we get it. You're fighting these urges, and at some point, it's like we need to see you like start killing people. It's kind of weird to say, but like there's a point where it's like, all right, please kill a kid.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think it could have been more entertaining had he realised that he was craving kids and then made a point of making sure he would never be near them, and
Yeah,
then by happenstance he's left alone with a kid, and then we feel the tension of that happening. But
yeah,
instead, he kept meeting kids and kept grilling at them, and
yeah,
then one died by accident, and he started eating the kid afterwards.
yeah.
Which I, I don't know. Like I say, the whole thing, because then they go into the when she's looking for him near the end, and he goes into the
The
play
Chuck E.
area.
Cheese.
Yeah, is that Chuck E.
Yeah,
Cheese? Yeah.
I noticed in the credits, it had someone listed as Chuck E. Cheese manager. So like they never actually say it, but I
Yeah.
was like, oh well, I guess if it's in the credits.
So he's in like one of those tube things that the kids like play through
Yeah,
the crawl space things, and
which I actually kind of liked the. I thought like that those kind of scenes kind of look cool, and it was like an interesting idea at least.
yeah, no, it was, but that's kind of the problem with the whole movie is that there's these completely isolated moments
Mhm.
that are kind of cool and have nice ideas, but nothing just kind of fit together. It was kind of weird. And then at the end of the movie, like, because
Mhm.
it essentially goes after um,
His son.
his son, and it turns into just a kind of a like her beating him to death and then
Yeah.
decapitate him, and it just I don't know. The whole thing's kind of. I mean, it was definitely they went gory because the head comes off, but the spinal cord's still attached, so
Yeah.
she has to make sure that's chopped so that he'll
Yeah.
die. But like okay, that was funny, but the problem is you're treating it so seriously between the gory
Yeah.
scenes that this just comes off as really weird and I don't want to say distasteful, but it clashes with the tone of the rest of the movie.
No, definitely. And if it was more of a like, if it was setting up more of like her protecting her son and having to battle him and stuff, but everything before that was her trying to save him and trying to be like, oh no, we'll find a way out, and like I don't care, like we'll figure out what to do and stuff. It felt weird to like all of a
Yeah.
sudden be like, yeah, we're not gonna save him.
For someone who
Yeah,
was almost about to sacrifice a kid to get him back, she was very
yeah,
quick to get to decapitating.
no, exactly. And
Very
then
quick.
and I feel like there's like a lot of subplots that went nowhere. Like the fact that she was pregnant, I kept thinking, all right, well, this is gonna come into play. Like,
Yeah, well,
even at
he
one,
tries to go and eat it, doesn't he?
yeah, like I thought, oh, okay, is he gonna like rip the fetus out and eat that, and then that'll satisfy him or something? But no, it's
Is
just
that a
kind of
happy
like
ending? I don't
I,
know if it is.
I don't know if it would be either, but I thought they were gonna go there, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a bunch of weird things.
You know what it is? I didn't watch it, but I am kind of curious to track it down. But it said this was based off of some type of like YouTube short or something like that.
Really? Okay.
Which, if you think about it, I feel like maybe that's kind of what the movie feels like. Like, it doesn't feel like a big cohesive story. It just feels like a lot of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? Or like, oh, if there was a demonic clown, what would be cool? Oh, well, like his blood being rainbow colored. Yeah, that would be cool. And him, eating a bunch of like cake and sweet stuff, and like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, and
Yeah, but
you know,
it all comes back to the same thing though. It comes back to you make your choice. Is this just a clown killer slasher movie with lots of absurd gore that's hilarious? Or is it something where you're going to take it seriously and it's about the psychology and about him battling his cravings while his wife's trying to save him and bring him back? Like,
yeah.
which is it about? Because they're clashing with each other a lot in this movie and it's just kind
Mhm.
of frustrating. I want to talk about this is a really weird complaint, but it's just kind of the scene with the bully because he's like playing video
I
games with
actually,
his
yeah,
friends.
I want to talk about this as well.
It's probably not this really petty complaint I'm about to make,
Mhm.
but even though this movie was filmed 2 years ago, the game he was playing looked like it was like
Oh,
10 years old.
it was it some type? Was it a Halo game? Like,
Yeah, it looked like a Halo game, or at least a Halo knockoff, but no, I think it was Halo.
yeah,
But it looked ancient for the time that he's, it's I
yeah,
mean, it's 2 years old now, but it's still basically present day, and it just looks
sure.
so old, and oh, I don't know.
No, I totally get that. Um, the uh, one thing that reminded me that I did want to mention is I had like really weird mixed feelings about the bully because like obviously like you're supposed to hate him, like he's a bully, and he's like using like derogatory language, like and stuff, and then you cut to his house and you see that he's like this rich kid and he has these like really ridiculous like glamour photos of him on the wall, and he's like and it's just like so much like setup of like this dude sucks, you're gonna want to see this dude die. But then like he's in his house playing video games by himself, and then he hears like that the he sees the doors open and thinks someone's in there, and he puts like his game set down. He's like, hold on, I gotta do something. And then he goes and grabs a pair of nunchucks, and I'm like, I fucking love this kid now. Like like because I thought he was gonna get scared and then you'd feel bad for him getting eaten, but I'm like, oh no, he's actually like kind of a badass.
He's going to town. He's getting ready to take care of business.
So it's just, I don't know, I just had like weird mixed feelings. I was like, as soon as I grabbed those nunchucks, I was like, I kind of like this kid now.
I wouldn't go that far. He's a little shit.
Oh,
I
he's
was I
still
was
definitely a
I
piece of
was
shit, but
more than happy for him to die violently.
I would have loved to have at least seen a little bit of a fight between him and with the nunchucks and the clown like that. Again, if it was that crazier version
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
movie, that could have been really cool. But
Instead, it was kind of boring.
yeah, well, like there was like a lot of gore and stuff, but I feel like it never went far. Like you never actually see him kill someone. Like it's always like cut away,
Nah,
blood
yeah.
splattering on the wall.
Yeah, well, I think there's a line you don't want to cross when you're dealing with kids. But like,
Yeah,
I mean, I thought it was dark enough that we see the hole and him falling down, and or even when he leaves the room and you see just the bones that are left after he's eaten them.
yeah,
I thought, oh shit, that's pretty dark.
yeah. I did like the there's a scene with like the ball pit, and you just kind of saw like a kid was sitting there in the background, and then you just see him kind of like go down.
Mm.
But
Actually, do you know
that's
what I liked? See, once he killed the kid inside the tube, I
yeah,
like all the blood
well,
flowed out of the chute. Like that was really cool.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. The other scene that always gets me in movies, it makes me like cringe, is anytime you see bone splitting out from skin, and
yes.
when he breaks his friend's arm, I was like, oh. And then I think he just says like sorry. It's just-
Oh, oops, a daisy. What did I
yeah,
just do? Oh, that's a shame. You can see your fucking bones sticking out, man.
yeah.
Uh,
Ugh.
Actually, going back to the mother, like almost killing the kid. She
Yeah.
almost does it this twice actually, because she sees that one kid that's like standing without a parent,
Oh yeah.
and she slowly starts walking towards him with intent.
Well, that's probably sound like pretty fucked up, but I was kind of like the first brother or whatever. I mean, it seemed like he didn't have like the worst idea in the world when he got like terminally ill kids. Like
Oh yeah,
kid,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. The first guy, and that's how they cured it. Is they got like 5 terminally ill kids to feed him.
yeah, like I mean, obviously, like you don't want to kill anyone, but it's like, well, these kids are gonna die anyway.
Yeah, I mean they're already gone, or they might as well serve a purpose. They can give this man his life back.
Yeah. It's a dark road.
It
We
was a
went
dark
down.
road. All right, well,
Uh,
I don't have anything else to say, to be honest. There's not actually a whole for a movie about a guy wearing a
mhm.
clown costume that turns him into an evil clown demon and eats children. There's not actually a whole lot to talk about.
One thing I will this will be the last thing I mentioned. It's kind of cheesy, but I always kind of like it. Whenever they do these kind of movies, and they'll have like the killer is like something that's usually like a kid friendly thing, like a clown or Santa Claus or something. I always love when they have like an explanation of like some ancient thing where they'll be like, well, what we know as the clown wasn't always
Oh, was
like
it? It was
the cloyne.
the clown. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
And
clown was a demon who ate 5 children, one for each month of winter.
yeah, and he was like up in the winter, and his nose was frozen red and stuff. I don't know. I feel like they always have like something like that when they talk about like something like an evil Santa Claus or something, or an evil Easter bunny. It's like, oh, what you we think of is not the real version, but it's kind of cheesy, but I always kind of like it.
Aye. Well, there you go. That's clown. I don't. I guess we have to get to ratings. You know what? I'm sticking with biscuits.
Okay,
No, seriously. From now on, every week, every episode, biscuits out of 10.
okay. Um, I feel like we're pretty harsh on it. But again, I do want to say that there was enjoyable stuff with this, and I wasn't like angry or upset
No, no,
at
no, it wasn't.
seeing it.
It wasn't terrible or anything
Yeah,
like that. It was just thoroughly in the middle.
yeah. So I'm gonna go probably a little bit above the middle, but I'm gonna give it like a 6. It's decent. It's worth a watch. You don't have to run out to see it.
Mm, yeah. I'm going to go slightly lower. I'm going to go 5.5. I think
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I keep repeating myself because I keep saying the exact same damn things, but
No. Yeah. Yeah.
it just feels stuck in the middle of these two extremes, and it is the end result is just kind of boring and dull. And I'm like with highlights of little highlights here or there of nice ideas or gore, but
Yeah.
that's just where it is. So
Mm,
that's Clown.
yeah.
Hey, it's much better than anything else Eli Roth's been attached to that we've ever covered. So
Yeah. That's with one compliment I can give it is that he didn't fuck it up uh, as much as he did other things.
I mean, he directed all those other ones. He didn't direct this one, but still. Well, no,
Yeah.
actually, he didn't direct the Cabin Fever remake. In the Cabin Fever remake,
He's a like some producer or executive producer or
yeah,
something. Or
yeah. So
and this it said producer, so who knows how much involvement he had? Hopefully none.
that's Clown, guys.
Yeah.
I have nothing interesting or witty and or amusing to say, so I failed you as an entertainer.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. One last thing I
Oh,
will
no.
say.
Oh, bring it, Tim. Bring it.
And actually, like 5 seconds into the movie, like,
Five
that.
seconds.
All right, well, exaggerating a little bit, but like right at the start of the movie, they're showing all this clown stuff, and the mom's like all worried because the clown's not coming to the birthday party, and the kid seems to be like super into clowns, and right away I was kind of like, this is like kind of unrealistic. Like, does anyone ever really like clowns, even like little kids? But then like
Nah.
within like a minute or two of the movie, I feel like they address that, and it's real quick. Like, but they have like, the mother's talking to her friend who is like, why does he like clowns so much? And she's just like, I don't know, he just really does. He's a kid, and she's like, well, I thought clowns were creepy when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, I kind of a stupid minor thing, but I do like that it was kind of addressed that like, all right, he's a weird kid that likes clowns for some reason. We know no one really likes clowns, but come on.
Yeah, yeah. Kids don't get excited by clowns. This is as silly as the kid in The Conjuring 2 being excited by biscuits. Clowns
Yeah.
are not that exciting. In fact, they're more. I'm actually convinced that at this point, clowns have been used as horror movie villains or killers more than they're used for like actual children entertainment.
Yeah, I don't know, like maybe 20, 30 years ago, people were still using clowns at parties and stuff, but I don't know if anyone does that anymore. I feel like, I mean, I was born in 86, and as far back as I can remember, I always thought clowns were creepy and, never wanted to see one anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I never knew anyone that liked them.
It's a weird anomaly in our pop culture, I think,
Yeah.
that clowns are this thing that were supposed to be for kids and children's entertainment, but we actually use them far more now for horror and scary and killers and demented things. But hey, all right, guys, that's been this week's, or not this week's. We've got 2 episodes per week right now, so that's been this episode of Screams After Midnight. To talk about clown. Tim, if people wanted to find you,
Any social media stuff, it's at Tim Vargulish. And if you want to check out my comic book stuff, it's facebook.com/goatmancomics.
cool. If you want to find me on social media or anywhere else, you can do so at Wibble89. You can also find, of course, a bunch of other content from Mild Fuzz. We have the regular movie stuff, 1.21 gigawatts. We have the TV stuff, almost cancelled. And we have the new DC Comics podcast, Comics from the Multiverse. So check out that if you want to. Also, check out our friends over at Ronan's Reviews. They do written content. They cover a lot of the same movies we do. I don't know if they'll be covering Clown.
If they know what's good for them.
but they might do. But they do written content. They also do albums and concerts and the occasional video game. So check them out if you want to. There'll be a link in the description to do that. And I think that pretty much does us. So, yeah. I think, Tim.
Yeah.
Did I have a catchphrase last week? I think I came up with a catchphrase and I forgot what it was now.
If you're feeling fired up, get your ass on the griddle. So, something like that.
It definitely wasn't that.
Something along those lines.
I feel like I had a good outro line last week, and I've forgotten what it
Strap
was.
some skates onto me, cause I'm out of here.
No, it wasn't that. Keep watching horror movies, guy. I don't know. This has been Screams After Midnight.
Go fuck yourself.
Don't turn out the lights. Did I say something like that? Maybe it was that.
Sure.
This has been a shambles. Come back next time for even more of this train wreck. Thanks, guys.
See you.